Good morning again. Pertaining to the previous video about the young man alleging being a son of Reagan, alleging that his father loves a lady killer. Well, about maybe 10 minutes after the upload, I walked a distance further to here south of Torrey Pines, and a pretty lady got onto a stereo of a car nearby and sounded nice and concerned, but then said the allegation he was talking about yourself. Now, that that doesn't seem likely at all, because I've never even heard anyone, and I'd like to trust my files that I would never have wanted to wrongfully accuse anyone about anything. So according to my file, the young man on the car radio back on the particular day, July 4th actually, I had said July 7th, but July 7th was the date that I made the report, but the incident had occurred on July 4th. That the young man alleged being son of Ronald Reagan. So anyway, I don't know if it's true or not, but that, according to my record, is what he had said. So anyway, about the lady saying that there's some mix-up, alleging that he was instead talking about myself, I really don't, I know that I've never even heard anything. So anyway, what it reminds me of is another concern that I finally thought I should mention, something that I really had doubts about from the beginning. Is a TV and movie critic company named Rotten Tomatoes. The reason I immediately doubted about it as soon as I heard about them is because the former stepfather, Bill Love, used to term some ladies. When I was young, I didn't understand about abuse that might include implant abuse or whatever. But he sometimes looked towards pretty women saying, "She's a hot tomato." And what do you mean by that? And he would say things like, "Well, it means that she's sexy or extra pretty or whatever." But later in life, I began to learn that the former stepfather had a bad attitude about some women, and that the term "hot tomato" meant that he was considering her maybe tagged in some way, So anyway, it was indicative of a danger. And I just checked Wikipedia, and without wanting to accuse them of anything, without knowing any details about Rotten Tomatoes, except really when you think about it, if you were shopping or any other condition of life you can think of, when would you really want to have Rotten Tomatoes? So anyway, I think some probably say, well, they named it in a way of warning people about movies that they might want to throw Rotten Tomatoes at instead of watch. But I really, there's concern against the name. So anyway, I checked with Wikipedia and learned this morning, a little while ago, that their company was founded back in 1998. Well, the particular time span reminds me that about the loud disruption I was still going through, that I had just gotten back to Sarasota near the end of 1994 from being to St. Petersburg. I went to a work program in the VA in Bay Pines for some months, and then I traveled briefly to Miami, thinking that maybe the noisy interference would be left behind, but actually it was worse. That's another subject, though. And then I traveled back, and I was to Orlando, and then back to Sarasota near the end of early 1995. And one place that I ended up spending some nights on was the Landing Shopping Center, and I spent some nights on the lawn there of a place that used to be a Mexican restaurant that became a restaurant named Tomatoes. Now I don't know if that I don't know anything about the Tomatoes restaurant either. I don't think I was ever in it. My understanding was that it was kind of a nice place that specialized in the salad bar. So anyway, I'm just saying that I just wanted to detail any memories that had to do any specifics pertaining to tomatoes that the stepfather might have pivoted on. And I'm also reminded that back in 1990, I stayed temporarily in a motel on the North Tamiami Trail named the Sundial. And on one occasion, I was out on Lido Beach after being asked to move out. When the manager of the Sundial, I was on the roadside near the beach, Lido Beach, asked if I'd like to work again. And so when I got there, I found that the entire motel was rented out to Mexican migrant workers that were harvesting tomatoes. And they all carried rusty harvesting knives around. And I kept a room up front I didn't, I just, they didn't bother me. But it was what the scene was that they packed a lot of migrant workers into the place. So I don't know of any incidents. Hopefully there hadn't been any incidents, but it was another detail that some had pivoted on. I remember back then walking to shopping on the North Trail during that time period that on one occasion there was a Mexican emblem helicopter, not helicopter, airplane flying over. I don't know if it was from the Mexican side of border control or what, but it was an official plane. So anyway, uh, I just want to say that pertaining to the name Rotten Tomatoes, Bill loves old hot tomato term pertaining to women. That indicates persons that might have had bad attitudes about ladies. I would have always been worried about young women going to Hollywood and maybe being treated critically rather than welcome to a life of being an actress. But hopefully there weren't ever any real tragedies, and I hope everyone's having a good day. And please remember, there isn't any quality. I've experienced such terrible, even crippling slanders for so many years that it was done to me very secretly, including my mother's putting her terrible murder. I've never even hurt anyone, but they're wondering put so much stress and so many questionable kind of circumstances at it. But really, I've never even hurt anyone. So anyway, pertaining to the young man who said my father was a lady killer, he was speaking. He allegedly was speaking about. Have a good day.